Hello and welcome to another video on SQL, and in today's video we are going to learn joins. So the join which we are going to learn, inner join. In case of inner join, what happens is basically we are going to join two tables to bring in the data. So that's what the join is basically. When you want to get the data from more than one table and you want them to give the data which is related to each other, so you will join them into certain columns. So you will say let's say item ID is equal to item ID in sales table. So you create a join. So first type of join which you are going to learn is inner join. Now in case of inner join, what happens is basically the only matching rows come. So if the item ID is present in the sales, if the same item ID is present in the item table, then the data will come in the both the table it should present. Then we comes with the left out join. In case of left out join, what happened is the table on the left hand side, the table which is first written first, its matching data will come, and also the data for which there is no match. Let's say we have some missing item IDs. Now item ID exists in, let's say, sales table, and we take sales left outer join, let's say item. So whatever is IDs are missing in the item table, but they are present in the sales table because the sales table is on the left hand side, those rows will also come. The right outer join does it for the right side. So in that case, I can have item first and sales after, or let's say even if the sales is first, let's say there are certain IDs which are there only in item table but not there in sales table. There is no sales which has happened. Now in that case, I do sales right outer join item, then those item will also come which are not present in the sales table. So matching joins and the item which are not present in the left table but they are present in the right table. So right hand side additional records. In case of left join, left hand side additional record. Full outer join means matching plus whatever additional things you have on both the sides, they will come. So let's learn that. Now what happens is data which I have loaded, if you remember last time in the last video, if you watched, we created a table where we actually removed or we marked some of the column as blank, the null. So we have removed the item join. So the item table will not have a join on the item because item IDs are null on certain columns. Now those were the IDs which were greater than 50. So if you remember, we have updated we created this new sales table and we updated it. Anything greater than 50 is basically null. So we don't have an ID greater than 50 on the sales table. Now what I'm going to do here is basically I'm going to create a couple more tables, and I already told you how to do that. So we created table in SQL. Let me tell you. So in most of the database, we'll say create table sales one as select star from sales, but in the SQL server we say select star into some table. And now this time I'm going to create a table, and you will say from where you get null. I want to create some deficient table. So how do I create those deficient tables? Because for inner join, my sales and item is going to work because the data is pretty perfect. All the item ID exists, and we are going to test that out. But before that, let's create two tables which are deficient, one item and one sales. So we are going to say select star into sales 3. Let's create a new query for today's class. Select star into sales 3 from sales where item ID is less than equal to 50. So there will be no data in the sales table which is greater than 50. So we have sales 3 table which is like that, and we only have 28,000 rows. Remember, we have 30,000 rows. Now we do the similar step. We say select star into item. I'm going to call it item 3 also. Item 3 from item where item ID is greater than 10. So I'm not going to have any item below 10, and I'm going to create this table, and let's see. I say greater than 50. Let me drop it. Let me do one thing. Let me drop this table. I want it greater than 10. So let me refresh it. Once I refresh, it will show me the item 3 table, and I can right click. I'll teach you these statements later, but I can go ahead and delete it. And I'll say in progress, it deleted it. So let me create is greater than 10. So there are 45 such rows because we have 55 IDs. Greater than 10 is 45. So now we have two tables which are deficient. Now let's start with the inner join, and we will start with the original table. So we have select star from sales. Now what happens is when we take more than one table and they have same column names, they start creating the problems. Means the same column name can, like I want to perform a join. So I what I'll do is I'll say inner join item, and then so inner join item on, I have to write down on item ID equals to item ID. Now from which table item ID is there? How do we know that? Isn't it? How do you know from which table this item ID is there? Okay, so we say select star from sales, inner join item, and then let's call it dbo. So what we do is we have to write down the table names. So we say sales.item and item.item ID. It's giving some error. We'll check it out. So let's run it. So it's working. It's showing some error because it might not be able to recognize the name of the item table. Okay. We have a table here. You can say learn SQL table is there. That's why it is coming. Sometimes it shows the false error. So what is the syntax? Inner join. We say first table name, inner join the second table name on the table name, column name, and the table name, column name is really important because they have the same column name, item.item ID. Now what happens is when I taken out these results, see there, they still have the two item IDs, but these results, when you try to take it outside, means on let's say you run this query and you are running it from the let's say third party tool or Java or Python, then you need exactly new column names. So what we need to give in such cases is aliases. So what we go, and also while running the query, we have to give aliases, and for the column having the same names, we want to have a different name, we will give alias. So let's learn what is that alias. But before that, let's check out what is the number of rows we are getting. 30,000 rows we are getting. And why we are getting these 30,000 rows? Because the initial item table and the sales table which we have, they are perfect. There is no missing item. All the things matches with each other. So inner join is going to give us 30,000 rows. Okay. Now let's come. How do we use the aliases here? So let's say I want to select item ID from both the tables. So I need to say sales.item and this.item. Now sometime what happens is these table name could be really big and I don't want to give such a big name. So I say as, or sometime without as, I also can write s and as I. Now what I can do, instead of sales, I can use s, and instead of item, I can use I. So here what is happen, s is alias and I is alias. This is alias for the table. Now also similar way you can rename the columns. Let's say I say order s dot order number. Now if it is only belongs to one table, there is no problem. Now let's say I say I dot item ID. Okay, I can call it item table. I can say write down as, or I can simply write down without as item table ID. Then comma s dot item ID, and I can leave it as item ID. Now let me select all these and run it. So what's happening here? Order number is order number. Now I am getting a new name, item table ID. This is the table ID which is coming from item table. Now there is a inner join, and because of inner join, we are getting all 30,000 row. Now this is the table where we already have the inner join, perfect data was there. Now if I try to do same thing on the sales table, sales 3 table and item 3 table. Now let's first of all, let's use only sales table and item 3. So I'm just going to change it, sales 3 and item 3, and let me run it. Now if you see, we are only getting 25,000 rows because there are items which are missing, and for those missing items, I'm not getting the data. Now I say this is sales 3 and this is my item, the original item. And let me do one thing. Let me create a separate query so that you can practice. Now we remember some rows were there. So let's look at the count of the sales table 3. If I have all the items, if I use item 3 and sales table 3, if I use sales 3 and item table and I have all the items, my record should match this one, because this is the many side table in this relationship which is getting created one to many, because item table is unique and the sales table is basically having many records. So you can see 28,840 and we have 28,840 records only. So this is going to give us 28,840 records only, because sales is on many side. There is no duplication on the item side. So one to many join is created. In that case, the data on the many side, the number of rows which is because of many side is the one which is going to come, because if everything is available, matching things is available on the one side. So every matching thing is available. Now, next query which we are going to do is, we are going to say, okay, we take in sales 3. Let's take item 3 also. Now item 3 also missing certain items. So 28,840 is not the count we are expecting, because there were an item missing. So we only getting 24,071, because another 10 items are missing. The 5 items were missing in the sales table. Another 10 items are missing in the item table. So our records are getting reduced. Now we will say, okay, now inner join is going to give us matching rows. And we have seen that in the sales and item, we were getting all the rows. Now then we take an sales 3 and item, where we got all the data which was matching between sales and item. And at that time, item was having all the records. It's only the sales table which was missing certain items. That is absolutely fine. We might not have sold certain item. We were getting that number. Now, when we use item 3, it means our dimension table or our item table also was missing certain records, and our records get further reduced. We did not get records even which are similar to in the sales 3 table. Now comes the different kind of joins. So now comes the role of different kind of joins. So let's start, and very important thing every time is to see the number of records. So we do this table. Now we say, instead of inner join, let me do a left join. Item 3, I do a left join. What does that mean? Okay, if there is something which does not match with the right hand side, even though, then you give us that. And for that, what we can do is, let's bring it star. Let's bring in all the columns. Ideally, star is not the best thing, but let's bring in everything which is coming from that table. Okay. Now, what happens is, the moment I run select star from sales as S3, left join dbo item as I on s.item equal to i.item id. So left join means matching rows plus anything which is additional on the sales side, please give us that. And because sales is on many sides, so it's going to return. Right now the results are more towards the sales table. What are number of the record sales table contain, that's the number of record which is coming. So now what is happening, if you remember, the sales table 3 has the 28,840 rows. Again with the item 3, we are getting 28,840 rows. Why? Because for all those rows which are missing, we are getting the blank rows. So you can see the item ID below 10. So whenever there is an item ID which is less than 10, you are getting a blank record, means it doesn't have an item record. So those records, the data would be missing, but we will still be getting. So anything which you are going to select from the table, from the sales table, that's going to come. But for the item table, if the matching record is not there, that's going to come blank. So that is my left join. So the table on the left hand side, all the records will come from that table, and the matching record will come from the right hand side of the table. So my left, right. Now let's perform right join. Now in the case of right join, what would happen is, only matching record from the sales will come. And then we will also have the record which are not matching from the item table. So let's execute this. Now to understand this, we need to scroll little bit, and when we scroll, finally you start seeing the record of 51, item ID 51, 52, 53, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54 and 55. And let me, to understand it better, let's say sort order by item ID. Now there are two item IDs, can create a confusion. Let's try i.item ID. And let's say DESC. Okay. So now what happened is 55, 54, 53, 52, 51. These are the 5 records which are not present in the sales table. They are coming. Other than that, what is happening? The matching records are coming. So if you remember, that we have how many records when we had the inner join. So with item 3 and sales 3, so right now we are joining item 3 and sales 3. Let's look how many records we had with item 3 and sales 3. So we had this sales 3. Let's have an inner join and look at the number of records. So we are right now getting 24,076. And what would happen when we have inner join? And then we can say count star. We're only interested in the number of records. So 71. Additional 5 records are coming because of that, and those are the 5 blank records, because only 5 records are getting contributed additionally from the right table, which is the item table. See, first table is the left table, second table is the right table. Now only additional 5 records are coming, and those are these 5 records. And there is no reference on the left hand side table. That's why every value from the left hand side table is blank. So this is left, this is right outer join. Prior to that we have done left outer join. So we can simply write right join, or we can also write down right outer join. Depending on the database, things are supported, but you can also write down right outer join. There's no difference. Now let's come to the full join. Now let's bring it here. Let's say full join. Now we got 28,840 rows. Remember, 28,840 rows. Now let me do count, and let me explain you why it is not 30,000 first of all. Okay. So how many records we were getting? 28,840. How many we are getting here? 28,845. The reason is the complete sales table is coming and complete item table is coming. Now item table and sales table has already have a join. So because of that join, that 28,840 is coming because of our, you can say, left join. Now anything which is left out now was the part of the right join. There are additional 5 rows. Those additional 5 rows are adding. Now we can't get 30,000 because we don't have 30,000 rows in our system. We don't have those records. Only the records which are going to come, which are available in both the tables and don't have a match. So those additional record which doesn't have a match are only the 5 additional record in this case, after we consider the left join where we already taken care of the sales table, whichever is not matching. So whichever is not matching in the sales, so based on the left, we were left out with only 5 join which are additionally coming in the right join, and so left or right combined total 28,845 records are there which is available for full join. So inner join, matching records, left join, additional record from the left hand side of the first table, right join, additional record from the right hand side table, full join, additional record from both the table other than matching records. Single rows of unmatched record will come. Now when there is a matching, there could be duplication, there could be anything which happened, but when there is no match, additional records are coming, they will come as a single row. We got it? Same way. Now, can we join only 2 tables? No, we can join multiple tables. So what we can do is, let's take an example. Select. Right now, let me write down star from sales as S, comma, item as I, comma, geography, comma, geography. What's the table name? Geography. We have geography. as G. Fine. But here what is happening? Right now I'm not writing down join. So there is one more way to write down the inner join. We can actually write down it in the where clause. I can say I dot item ID equals to s dot item ID and G dot city ID equals to s dot city underscore ID. Now let's check, is it correct or not? Okay, so we are getting records, but now we don't want to have so many records. So what we can say, geography dot city name, let's say what is the name, we call it city I think only, and I dot brand comma s dot quantity. Okay, so we are getting here all the tables, value from all the tables, inner join, 30,000 rows again. Now how do we write down this same statement using the joins? So we copy this, and here now we need to write down. So we will first statement table, then inner join item ID on, in the bracket is optional, I just to for the cleanup I'm writing down on this. Then again we have to write down inner join. Now it can join with any of the tables which is already present here, and I put this as G on this thing. So what is our syntax now? Select G dot city ID, I dot brand ID, S dot quantity from sales as S, inner join item as I on I dot item ID equals to S dot item ID. The join columns, the join column doesn't need to have same name, they can have a different name, and that is why we are specifying their name specifically. Okay, then inner join geography as G dot city ID equals to city ID. Now there is something known as self join, which happens when you join the same table with, if I join item with item, the self join. In case of natural join, the IDs could be same, name could be same, the column names could be same. Okay, now let's run this one. Again 30,000 rows, same result. So we now have learned various kind of joins. So you can join two tables, perform it, and get the data from tables, two tables, more than two tables, and number of tables. Now what we are going to do is, now we have got a platform where we can write down little bit more complex SQL, we can aggregate the data, and we can run some business intelligence query. So in coming session, we will continue to explore more complex queries. We will have a lot of focus on select statements, because that's where, we can get out, a lot of information from the database, which can make sense or which can help us in data analysis. So go ahead and try these out. Do let me know what else you want me to cover in this particular series. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you. Keep watching, keep asking questions in comments, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you can get notification for new videos. Thank you.